What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Shadowlands video. How are you all doing? That's good. I didn't actually hear anybody speak. I'm just pretending. You know how it is. The voices. Grab your coffee, kick back, relax. Let's talk about more enhancement double legendary combinations. So, if you didn't see the last video, I'm going to do a little review on double legendary acquisition. How are we going to get double legendaries? Because they are coming very soon, guys. They're coming in about 8 days. I think, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. It's on the 22nd. So, it's happening very, very quickly, and we need to be ready. So, I'm going to try and give you basically an update on, like, what double legendaries affect the current suite of enhancement legendaries. Like, once we get access to the Covenant legendaries, how is that going to affect the legendary that you're already wearing? Which Covenant are you going to want to be with Legacy? Which Covenant do you want to be with Doomwinds? I did Primal Lava actuators in my last video, so I'm not actually going to do that, but we're going to do basically a similar video today. I'm just going to cover the rest of the legendary combinations, and I'm going to do a very, very quick overview of how to acquire double legendaries. So if you want like an in-depth guide on how we're going to acquire double legendaries, go watch the last video. And this one we're going to kind of speed run it, okay? So grab your coffee. Let's do it. Let's switch over to the Wowhead article really, really quickly, and let's go through it. So, how to unlock double legendaries. Here's the basic TLDR. You're going to get them on March 22nd when you do Chapter 7 of the campaign, okay? For context, the campaign, of course, is the secrets of the first ones. I'm on Chapter 5 right now. That's as far as you can go. Next week, Chapter 6 is going to unlock. That's on Tuesday for me. That's Chapter 6. You're going to have a week to do Chapter 6, and then on the 22nd, Chapter 7 will unlock, and you can do Chapter 7 on the 22nd, and of course, you will get access to the Belt of Unity, and that'll be good. Now, you can purchase the Legendary Belt. It's locked at item level 265, and you can purchase it from this guy over here. So in Haven, this guy named Velo right by the fire. You can talk to him, and he'll have the Belt of Unity here somewhere. Now, he also has the Memory of Unity, which let me go over that really quickly. You can craft the legendary, like the second legendary effect, using the Memory of Unity, but you have to be Revered Reputation with the Enlightened. Now, let me just say a couple things about this, because we had people exploding in the chats yesterday about like, oh, I know a guy who's Revered Reputation. I know a guy who's Revered. You can get Revered right now. And it's like, okay, calm down. I think Flocked was in the chat, and he was saying that it's basically impossible to get Revered Reputation right now. And that is true. It's true. Practically speaking, nobody is Revered right now with the Enlightened, okay? Let me tell you why. I've been running around this game since the patch dropped, and I am just at Honored. I've done a lot of the dailies. I've done all the raid bosses. I've been doing all kinds of stuff in Zereth Mortis, and I'm barely at Honored Reputation. Guys, realistically speaking, practically speaking, for the average player, you are not going to be able to get to Revered Reputation by March 22nd. If you could buy the Memory of Unity, and the Memory of Unity just lets you put your Covenant Legendary effect anywhere on your gear. There's a couple of exceptions, but you can put it anywhere. So most people aren't going to be able to achieve this by March 22nd, which is perfectly fine. That's why all you need to do is go do the secrets of the first ones, go do Chapter 7 of the campaign, and you will get the Belt of Unity to put on your character, and that will just automatically give you the Covenant Legendary effect. I'm a little tired of people in the comments being like, well, I know a guy who got Revered. That's great. That person has spent an enormous amount of time grinding Reputation every single day. They probably faction changed to Human to get the increased Reputation gains by 1%. And they probably went to the fair. I always forget what it's called. Whatever, the fair, the Dark Moon Fair, to go get additional Reputation gains. Like, not everybody's going to do that. The average player's not going to do that. So just know, guys, that at the very beginning of March 22nd, when it drops, when double legendaries are available, just go get the Belt of Unity. Go get it and wear it, and then eventually, as you play the game and you get to Revered Reputation with the Enlightened, then you can come back to Velo and buy the Memory of Unity and upgrade your piece of gear and put it on wherever you want. Okay, so I just wanted to clear that up. That like It's not practically possible to get Revered Reputation right now. It's just not. Some people have done it, and that's great for them, but they're like no-lifing the game, and most people can't do that, okay? So that's that. Okay, that's, I think, basically the whole article. Basically, you're going to get the Belt of Unity on March 22nd. Do Chapter 7 of the campaign. You can upgrade it with the Memory of Unity later. That's it. How much does it cost? It doesn't cost anything, actually. You just have to you just do it. That's all you really need to know. You're just going to get the belt on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, the 22nd of March, 23rd of March. You're going to get your belt, and you have your double legend effect. Now, what does that mean? So let's go to the crux of this video, which was me talking about the different combinations. So in my last video, I talked about Primal Lava Actuators and what legendary combinations would be good with that, and I did say that either Necro or Venthyr were the absolute winners there, in my mind. So if you want to check that out, go check out my last video. It talks more about PLA. We're going to move on to the next set of legendaries. I'm going to do the rest of the legendaries in this video, and we're going to talk about each one of them and where I think the double legendaries work best with each legendary and why. I'm going to give you my reasons why. So let's start with the next most popular build right now, which is Witch Doctor Wolfbones. You guys have seen me running around with this build all the time. So Witch Doctor Wolfbones is all about reducing the cooldown of the Feral Spirits, right? And then you get the bonuses of your Feral Spirits by taking Elemental Spirits. You get the Fire, Frost, and Nature Stormstrike dog. You get those different dogs giving you those buffs. So that's like the crux of the build. Now, it's a little bit talent neutral. You can sort of build this however you want. You can do like a hot hand focused build, which is a little bit more of like you're looking to get fire dogs out of your elemental spirits. And you can basically do lots and lots of lava lash damage. Or you can go Storm Flurry, Ellie Assault maybe. And then you've got very much a Storm Strike focused build. And then the dog that comes out of your elemental spirits, you're hoping to get the Storm Strike dog that increases your Storm Strike and Wind Fury damage by 35%. Like, there's so many different ways to build Witch Doctor Wolfbones. So that's really, really cool. And it also means that your choice in terms of legendaries is a little bit up in the air. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you like my power rankings for the double legendaries when it comes to each build. So I'm going to highlight this one. We're talking about Witch Doctor Wolfbones. Which second legendary is best for Witch Doctor Wolfbones? I think it's Necrolord. Here's why. The generic haste buff that you get from all the lightning bolts is just way too strong. Haste is just really, really good because it makes your dogs attack faster, so they do more damage. And when we get our tier set bonus for Enhancement Shaman, it's all about the dogs and their attacks, and they'll have a chance to give you Stormbringer, which resets the cooldown of Storm Strike, right? So if you increase your haste, you're increasing your attack speed and your dog's attack speed, okay? On top of that, if you go something like Hot Hand with Splintered Elements, your chance to get a Hot Hand proc now also goes way up through the roof. So I think that the best second legendary, the best Covenant legendary for Witch Doctor Wolfbones is going to be Necrolord. It makes your dogs attack faster. It makes you attack faster, which means you can proc a Hot Hand buff. If you have 2 fire dogs up while you have a Hot Hand window going, you will do absolutely disgusting amounts of damage. We were doing Anduin prog with my guild last week, and on pull with Lust, I got double fire dog and a Hot Hand proc. I was doing 20k single target damage. 20k single target damage for like 10 seconds, 12 seconds, and then obviously the Hot Hand fell off. I think I got 2 Hot Hands in a row. Anyway, the point is, imagine if you had like a Lust, like almost a little mini Lust every single time you got to do Primordial Wave, and then you got a Fire Dog with Hot Hand. You can see the potential there. It's really, really good. So that would be my idea. I think the best Covenant to be, if you're going to run the Witch Doctor Wolfbones legendary, you should be Necrolord, in my opinion. Now, what's a very, very close second is, of course, Night Fae. I think Night Fae is very strong for Witch Doctor Wolfbones because you're getting crit, which is really good. You get 24% crit, and you get 54 seconds off of your dogs. So what you can do is, with Night Fae, you can summon your Feral Spirits, and then you channel your Fae Transfusion, pretend that's Fae Transfusion, and then your dogs will basically be back, and you can press them again, and you can have 4 dogs out at the same time. You can have 4 fire dogs with a Hot Hand proc. That's very rare, but like, the point is, this is really, really good. Every 2 minutes that this comes off cooldown, you'll have a window where you can press dogs into Fate Transfusion into dogs, and you'll have 4 dogs out basically all the time, which is super, super cool. Very good synergy there, of course, with Elemental Spirits. So I think that this is a no-brainer. I don't think it's as good as the Necrolord one because the haste buff is just so incredibly strong. It makes all of your damage better. And Primordial Wave, if it gets a reset, you can chain, you know, haste buff into haste buff for Necrolord. So, but this is a very close second. I think it's very good. The damage from Fate Transfusion is good. Everything about the Night Fae stuff is actually solid. So, definitely look for Night Fae. If you're playing Witch Doctor Wolfbones, it's perfectly fine to go Night Fae. Okay. Now, last one I'm going to say is Venthyr. I think that Venthyr is just going to be good for almost every single legendary, and I'm going to keep repeating this. If you want to play Venthyr with any legendary that you're running, it's going to be fine. I'm dead serious. If you want to run Witch Doctor, Primal, Doomwinds, Legacy, Deep Rooted, whatever, if you're going to run Skybreakers, which we'll get to in a minute, Venthyr is going to work because it just adds 5 Flame Shocks for free, gives you the 5 Riptides. It reduces the cooldown of Chain Harvest massively. I would say the only downside to the Elemental Conduit, the Venthyr Covenant legendary, is that it's not as much damage in single target, but it's not that far behind the other two. Like Night Fae and Necrolord are going to be better single target damage, but this one's not that far behind. It's just really not. So no matter what legendary you're running, if you really like Venthyr and you want the Chain Harvest interactions, then just stay Venthyr, guys. Go get 80 Renown on Venthyr and call it a day because it's perfectly fine. Okay? So that's my sort of power rankings for Witch Doctor Wolfbones. When we get double legendaries in 8 days, I think you should either go Necrolord or Night Fae. If you want to go Venthyr, that's fine. Kyrion's not really in the conversation. Okay? Let's move forward. If you're running Legacy of the Frost Witch, which I know not a lot of people are, but let's say you are. Again, you're going to want to take probably the Storm Flurry talent. That's just a guarantee there. But let's say you're running Legacy of the Frost Witch. You get the cooldown of your Storm Strike comes back, and Storm Strike does more damage. What's the best Covenant legendary to pair with Legacy of the Frost Witch? I would say Necrolord is the king again, and Night Fae is a close second. So Necrolord is the king because of haste. You're getting lots and lots of haste. What does haste do? Well, it makes your elemental spirits attack quicker, but what it's really doing is it's giving your Storm Strike cooldown is going way down. Look at 5.6 second cooldown on Storm Strike. If I hit Lust, that goes to 4.3 seconds. Look at the bottom right-hand corner there, 4.3. It was at 5.6 seconds. It's now down to 4.3 seconds. My haste right now is 75%, which is pretty insane. That's pretty good. So I'm usually at 34%. I go up to 75 with Lust. Splintered Elements can take you to like 110% haste. If you cleave 6 targets with lightning bolts, your haste will go up to like 110%. That means Storm Strike will be like a 2-second cooldown, guys. It's going to be absolutely stupid. So what that means is that if you're going to run, if you're getting the Legacy procs, you can just proc it all the time. Storm Strike into like Chain Lightning, into Storm Strike, into Chain Lightning. You can just bounce back. You guys have seen my videos on that before. So I think Necrolord is really, really good for all the extra casts of Storm Strike that you'll be getting. And that really pushes into the Storm Flurry playstyle, where the more you're pressing Storm Strike, the more damage that you're doing, period. That's just what you're going to be doing. So I do think that the best pairing for a Legacy of the Frost Witch build is going to be with Necrolord. Night Fae is a close second once again because you get crit. The crit is very important here now because it means your Storm Strike has a high chance of critting, which is really, really good. So I do think that Night Fae is quite strong. And you can do the Naya Soulbind and get the haste, the little flower haste under your feet, so you can really double down on the haste buff. So I think Night Fae is also very good with Legacy. Finally, I would say that Venthyr, as always, I'm going to say this every time, Venthyr is just a straight up damage boost no matter what build you're running, so you could run this with Legacy as well. It's just extra fire damage. But Legacy, I think the prime candidate for Legacy is to pair it up as a Necrolord and to get Splintered Elements, again, which we're going to get on March 22nd. Okay, Doomwinds. Let's move into Doomwinds. What's the best Covenant to pair with Doomwinds? I'm going to say it once again. I think it's going to be Necrolord. Why? Because of the haste. It's just a generic buff, right? Imagine in an AoE situation, you hit Flame Shock, and you spread it with Lava Lash, and then you Primordial Wave like a 5th target. Now you have 5 Flame Shocks out. You hit that Lightning Bolt on everybody, and then you drop your Wind Fury Totem, right? So you're sitting there and you got your 5 Flame Shocks out. You hit your Primordial Wave Lightning Bolt. It cleaves all 5 of them. Now you have 50% more haste. Then you drop your Wind Fury Totem and go on the Doomwinds window. How much damage do you think you're going to do? A lot is the answer. Your cooldowns are like your Stormstruck will be like a 2-second cooldown. Crash Lightning will be like a 3-second cooldown. You're just like boom, 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 boom. And the Wind Fury procs are going to be out the wazoo. So I do think that Doomwinds pairs very, very well with Necrolord. It just requires like a tiny bit more setup, right? You can't just drop Wind Fury Totem and pop a sentence and go. It's going to be more about you can do your Lava Lash or Flame Shock into Lava Lash into Prime Wave into the Lightning Bolt, then you go. It's about 3 seconds, 3 or 4 seconds of setup, and then you can go crazy. So I do think it works really, really well with Necrolord. And then the obvious second pairing is going to be Night Fae once again, because of the crit mostly. So you run in there, summon your wolves, and then channel Fey Transfusion, and then drop your Wind Fury Totem and go. And you have 24% crit for 15 seconds. For the entire Doomwinds window, you'll have crit. And you'll have your dogs out, and you'll reduce the cooldown of your dogs so you can press them again. So I do think that Doomwinds pairs very, very well with Night Fae. It might be the most obvious pairing. I think Necrolord, the ceiling for Necrolord is higher, though. I think you can go to the moon with the Necrolord stuff and just get some absurd amounts of haste, which you can funnel into that Doomwinds window, which is very, very cool. Okay? So I do think that those are the two kind of obvious choices, and then Venthyr is, of course, going to be the just straight up damage increase, very consistent damage increase. So Doomwind still has like the Mountains and Valleys playstyle, but you can supplement that with Elemental Conduit a little bit by saying Chain Harvest is going to be a low cooldown. I'm going to have 5 Flame Shocks out all the time. It's a lot of extra passive damage that I didn't have before. So that's really cool. That'll be actually quite beneficial for you. I think that Venthyr is actually very, very close to Night Fae in terms of its power level. It might even be close to Necrolord, but I think that like the synergy with the haste buff from Necrolord is just the king, and I think it would work really, really well. Let's move to Skybreakers. Obviously, this is the elemental one, but it works for Enhancement Shaman, and some of you guys have already been trying it. I saw a Skybreakers Shaman like a couple weeks ago in a Mythic Plus dungeon. He was already running Skybreakers, and he didn't even have like the extra legendary effect to go with it. So if you're going to run Skybreakers on Enhance, what's the best Covenant legendary pairing? It is, of course, Venthyr. Venthyr is the king combination with Skybreakers. And that's because you get 5 free Flame Shocks. And Skybreakers is going to make them have 50% more crit. And all those crits are going to funnel into the Chain Harvest cooldown reduction. Flame Shock critical strikes reduce the cooldown of Chain Harvest by 1 second. So this is the Chain Harvest build. If you're going to run Skybreakers as Enhance, absolutely go do it. It's a lot of fun, and you're going to get that 50% Flame Shock crit. You should go Venthyr. That's the absolute premium choice. There is one other choice that I'm going to talk about, but Venthyr is the way to go. 5 free Flame Shocks, all having 50% crit, all reducing the cooldown of Chain Harvest. It's a no-brainer, guys. So if you just love Skybreakers on Enhance and you want to run it, make sure that you're Venthyr. You could go Necrolord, would be my second idea there, because you get all the 5 free oh no, you don't get it anymore. Sorry, I'm crazy. You do get extra Flame Shocks from Primordial Wave. I just had a complete brain meltdown there. We're good. So you do get an extra Flame Shock from Primordial Wave. And if you get a reset on Primordial Wave, then you can add even more. But realistically speaking, the best way to just add new Flame Shocks is to Lava Lash the target that has the Flame Shock on them to spread it around. So you will get like a haste buff from this. And what you can essentially get out of this is your Flame Shocks will just be doing tons and tons of damage, and you can continue to spread them with Primordial Wave. So it's kind of a neat idea there, but realistically speaking, Venthyr is the way to go. There isn't another choice, honestly. Venthyr is absolutely the way to go. So last one we're going to talk about is Deeply Rooted Elements for Enhance. Now, I talked about this in my tier list video, and I put it down at the bottom because it really does struggle to get a proc chance. Like, I've tried it so many times, and sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't. The elemental version of Deeply Rooted Elements is, of course, much, much better. So what do you want to pair with Deeply Rooted Elements? Well, it's going to be Necrolord, number 1, because, of course, the haste buff is there. All you care about on Deeply Rooted Elements is pressing Storm Strike. You need to press it as much as possible. So you'd run a similar setup with Storm Flurry, and you press Storm Strike whenever it's off cooldown, whenever you can. And deeply rooted elements, or sorry, the splintered elements actually really does help you accomplish that. So if you get into a big AoE situation, you lava lash, spread your flame shock to 4 targets, primordial wave a 5th target, hit 5 lightning bolts. That's 50% more crit. And then you just press Storm Strike and Storm Strike and Storm Strike, and you really, really hope to get a proc on Ascendance. That's the goal. That's what you're looking for. So this is the obvious pairing. There isn't really another pairing that's going to work synergistically. You just want haste to get more casts of Storm Strike off. The more casts of Storm Strike you can get off, the better you're going to be. So that's the obvious pairing. If you're running Deeper Rooted Elements, my hat is off to you. I might try this later in the expansion, but for now it's a little bit too inconsistent. But if you're on March 22nd, when you get your double legendary, make sure that you're Necrolord, because that's the combination that you want to do. So that's it, guys. Those are the builds I want to talk about for Enhancement Shaman today. Those are the different pairings that I wanted to make sure I mention. If you are not a part of like one of these covenants right now that I have just suggested that you become a part of, then you should go do it right now, because you have 8 days to go get up to 80 renown. You don't have to get 80 renown, but ideally you want to be at max renown level, because it gives you a lot of really good bonuses. So that's my suggestion to you. If you're like, oh my god, I wasn't Necrolord and he's saying that I should be, well, I think you should go probably get Necrolord then, and go buy the 40 renown from the Flightmaster guy in Oribos. If you guys don't know, you can go to Oribos. There's a Flightmaster guy in the second deck, and he's somewhere, and it's not going to show me in this picture, but Ring of Fate. So we go here we go, up here. So this is the flight guy up here. Right next to the flight guy, like right here, is a dude who sells the 40 renown boost that you can get. So if you're like thinking, oh my god, you know, Zuko says I should go Necrolord, maybe I'll actually give it a shot. Again, you don't have to. I'm just giving you a suggestion. But then you should go buy that today. Go get 40 renown right away, and then start working on your renown, so that by the time March 22nd rolls around and we get double legendaries, you'll be ready to go. Okay. The other thing you guys need to do is make sure you do the story quests. If you're only on chapter like 2 or something of the story, if you've been ignoring the story, go get the story done right now. Make sure you're at least up to chapter 5. Tomorrow, Tuesday for me, chapter 6 is going to unlock, and then the next Tuesday on the 22nd, chapter 7 is going to unlock. Once you get that done, you get the Belt of Unity for free. Okay, that's your double legendary effect. So that's it. That's the double legendary combos I'm looking at for Enhancement Shaman for all the different builds. And I think that that's going to be the strongest way moving into not patch 9.2, but moving into the double legendary part of this patch. You're definitely going to want to pair it up with the right covenant. There are definitely some right choices and some wrong choices. So make sure that you're picking the one that's going to give you the most damage and the most healing and the most ability to help your team out in Mythic Plus or in Raid, whatever you're doing. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for all the love on the channel. We're at like 1,060 subs now. We got like 20 subs yesterday somehow. We're really starting to climb. So if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, I would really appreciate it. If you want to drop a like, I would appreciate that too. And if you want to put a comment down there for us to go back and forth on, please do that as well. I would love to talk to you guys in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, we'll see you later.